The fatigue of reading a weekly series is a task that can really weigh on a manga reader over time. For the last set of chapters, Gojo vs Sukuna, two of the strongest characters in the Jujutsu Kaisen series, have been going at it, and fans have had a lot to say. But the overwhelming idea is that Ryomen Sukuna, King of Curses, is a liar, a big fat phony. The character we've been led to believe was a prominent member of the Him Council is on his way to being dethroned after his performance in this fight. And in this video, I want to go over Sukuna's power level, how exactly he's handled Gojo, the strongest sorcerer of the modern era, and come to the conclusion, has this man been cooking on the pocket-sized hibachi grill, or is he really as embarrassing as everyone has made him seem? Leave a like, subscribe, and let's get right into what makes Sukuna a supposed fraud and see if these allegations hold any weight. Rewinding back to the Shibuya Incident, when the fandom was still in prime Sukuna form, 15-finger Sukuna was a force to be reckoned with. With only 3/4 of his overall strength, the King of Curses, upon arrival in Shibuya, actually cuts both of Geto's daughters Mimiko and Nanako like he used a cheese grater. Sukuna would have packed Jogo up too if the curse spirit didn't kneel in time, but no one's safe from the smoke for long, because within a couple minutes, Sukuna's piecing Jogo up and throwing him across the city. At 15 fingers, Sukuna's tossing the cursed spirit of the earth over long distances, slamming his ass through entire skyscrapers, and surviving giant fire explosions and even meteors being thrown at him. Just appearing afterwards, legs crisscross applesauce like he hasn't even started to take things seriously. This is the Sukuna that we've been waiting for, right? The Sukuna that, despite being put in an entirely random and unknown situation against Maharaga, the strongest shikigami of the 10 Shadows technique, he still came out as the victor. And we'll get to Maharaga in a minute because he's an important aspect to the fraudulent behavior. But what I really want to get across is that this Sukuna, the one who is capable of demolishing over 140 meters of people, the King of Curses that was able to use some kind of black box maneuver to completely copy Jogo's fire manipulation and use it to embarrass the curse spirit, but also be able to pull that fire arrow out a second time and deliver a killing blow to the shikigami that no matter what keeps adapting to whatever you throw at it. The Sukuna we've been waiting for is the Sukuna that made curse spirits bow and cry for mercy, the king that made sure not even Maharaga could get up again. And this Sukuna still needed 5 fingers more before he even achieved full power. Cut to a couple weeks ago, if it wasn't for the 10 Shadows technique and Maharaga, Gojo would have knocked the block off of Sukuna's head at least twice now. And for a character whose introduction at the beginning of the fight was, "You're a nobody, I'm gonna gut you like a fish," you'd think that number would be 0. But I'm getting ahead of myself. The main question here is, does using the 10 Shadows technique, an ability that Sukuna never originally had and clearly needs to fight on equal ground with Gojo, mean that Sukuna of the Heian era, 20 fingers or not, with only cleave and dismantle and whatever else he's been hiding up his sleeve, would have actually lost to Gojo? Let's start with how I feel Sukuna has been using the 10 Shadows technique. When originally introduced to the 10 Shadows through Fushiguro Megami, while impressive, 2 huge notable details of the technique are clear. 1. If the user is unable to actually tame the shikigami itself, they will be unable to use it, meaning they don't have complete access to all of the hacks and overpowered abilities off rip. They must train and build their own strength in order to master the full technique. Which, if anything, means a master of the 10 Shadows technique does deserve some respect. Able to hone one's power and mind in order to defeat all 10 of the animals, some clearly stronger and more powerful than others, takes time and skill. And the number 2 detail, the shikigami are fragile. Even if they are offensively strong, If they're unable to endure serious injuries or damage, the shikigami don't just disappear back into the shadows, they're completely lost forever. We see this happen specifically with Orochi, the snake shikigami that is torn to shreds by a three-finger Sukuna. Although, the power and form of the deceased shikigami can be transferred to the others by way of a power-up, something we see Sukuna can do just at a whim. Skipping ahead again, I'm sorry. Megami's use of the 10 shadows, although a lot more basic, is still an impressive curse technique, especially as he begins to excel and have it become an extension of his skill, able to dip in and out of shadows, as well as use the shikigami in clever ways. Now, Sukuna's use of the 10 shadows. Fraud or not, Sukuna's mastery over the 10 shadows technique is nothing to scoff at. You know every time this man uses a shikigami, it ends up being 10 times cooler than if Megami ever did it. Case in point, from day one of Sukuna's possession over Megami, the natural evolution of the shikigami with a much more demonic cursed energy taming them is astonishing. Nue not only becomes so large it's able to tower over multiple different skyscrapers and launch lightning bolts throughout an entire city, shikigami like Max Elephant also become ghastly apparitions of their former selves. Not only is the 10 shadows heavily buffed in attack power, using only Megami's knowledge of the technique as a baseline, Sukuna is able to stretch the versatility of the 10 shadows further than ever thought before. After plunging himself in a bath of deceased cursed spirits and evil energy, pushing Megami further into the darkness, Sukuna hunts Yorozu, the sorcerer that stole Sumiki Fushigoro's body, and in order to solidify Megami's soul into submission, Sukuna vows to kill Yorozu with only the 10 shadows, not with, as Yorozu calls it, his shrine technique. Whether this is referring to Malevolent Shrine and Cleave and Dismantle, or a different, unknown, original technique, leave a comment down below on what you think, because I know this has started plenty of discourse. Sukuna from the very beginning of this fight shows that shikigami need not be fully summoned. In order to keep them safe from being completely destroyed, Sukuna is able to manifest them in liquid shadow form. Their attack is slightly nerfed, but when amped by Sukuna's cursed energy, the decrease isn't even noticeable. It also means shikigami like Divine Dog Totality can be shapeshifted, multiplied, and used in any way Sukuna pleases, almost as if Chimera Shadow Garden, the 10 Shadows domain expansion, is being used right out in the open. Sukuna can also merge two shikigami to create a whole new entity entirely. Chimera Beast Agito is one of these creations. By fusing Nue with Divine Dog Totality, we get this monstrous amalgamation of a shikigami that can be used to fight on par with Satoru Gojo melee-wise, or at the very least, offer a level of extra pressure and defense to keep the most important part of the trio, Maharaga, safe to continue adapting. And with partial summoning possible as well, Sukuna has also been shown to conjure the Dharma Chakra Wheel, the anomaly that allows Divine General Mahoraga to adapt to any and all phenomena, not even needing to put Maharaga in harm's way against a powerful threat like Gojo or Yorozu directly. Whether Sukuna places himself as the subject of adaptation, or he forces the burden onto the secondary soul inside of him, Megami, by pre-adapting to an opponent's technique, by the time Maharaga arrives in the fight, he's already ready to bust that ass. It's exactly what he does to Yorozu, so that by the time she summons her domain expansion, according to her, it would reduce Sukuna to ashes. Sukuna just swaps with Maharaga, who's unaffected by all of her abilities, and ends the fight. This is fucking OP, and not for nothing, it's just the surface of Sukuna's usage of the 10 shadows. His combinations of the different abilities available to him, as well as his taming of Madoka Deer and the Bull Kang Yu, make him a much better suitor for the 10 shadows technique than Megami ever could be. Sukuna is even able to use shikigami's abilities without conjuring them, like the Max Elephant's water stream, as well as dip in and out of other people's shadows like Megami, while other shikigami are present. Sukuna's a solid representation of what a true master of the 10 shadows could be. And through this excellence, would you say that Sukuna has made the technique his own?
Oh, so forming an angry mob, eh? Who we going after?
Now, before you dislike, I'm not Team Sukuna or Team Gojo. I think Gojo has been nothing but impressive this entire fight, but Sukuna deserves his defense. Let's talk about Maharaga a bit before we answer that question back there. 8-handled sword Divergent Sila Divine General Mahoraga, the most uncontrollable shikigami of the Zenin clan that has never been able to be controlled or tamed by a single family member in its lineage. A towering demigod with 4 wings protruding from its eye sockets, and a demonic smile that cracks in its lips whenever it has the chance to dominate an opponent. Since its introduction all the way back in the Shibuya Incident as the trump card of the 10 Shadows technique, Maharaga has made quite the name for itself in the fandom as an insane, powerful entity that's able to adapt to anything that gets thrown at it. Even summoned by Megami, it had the potential to push Sukuna into using his full power domain, and still, that wasn't enough to vanquish the beast. It appeared briefly in Sukuna's battle against Yorozu, debuting itself as a tame shikigami under Sukuna's mastery. For the first time, we can see what a controlled Maharaga looks like, offering its wheel of adaptation without needing to be fully summoned and being able to completely dismantle domain expansions of opponents with its long sword. But now, present in Gojo vs Sukuna, Maharaga has displayed an even clearer want for the smoke. Whether Maharaga remembers fighting and drawing with the 6 eyes user of the past, or frankly, he just likes killing, he is more than excited to attack and assert his power over the Honored One. Maharaga is clearly a threat to the 6 eyes and the Limitless, regardless of the time required to fully adapt to its abilities. It's the reason whenever summoned, Maharaga is priority 1 for Gojo, knowing that if he doesn't remove him from the battlefield immediately, there's gonna be problems. Even a solid red barely affects the beast. The only thing that can potentially take it out is hollow purple. My biggest fear going into Gojo vs Sukuna was that with a tamed Maharaga, a tag team 2v1 fight with the overwhelming Sukuna and ever adapting Maharaga could spell danger for the Honored One, especially when adapted to Limitless, as depicted in the later half of the fight. While Maharaga presses Gojo and relinquishes Infinity, Sukuna can step into the shadows and deliver clear hits. And to be fair, Sukuna isn't even being as offensive as possible because he wants to protect Maharaga from being destroyed. That's why he summons Chimera Beast Agito as even more backup. Not because he needs the help, but because if Maharaga gets taken out, Sukuna loses a huge asset to his new curse technique. I think what this all boils down to is, does Maharaga being required to take Gojo down mean Sukuna would have been unable to win if he never possessed Megami? Throughout the entire fight, one thing has been evident. Satoru Gojo, the Honored One, the character that has been winning every weekly Who Will Win poll on my channel and has been able to match every hand Sukuna has played, unfortunately doesn't really have any hidden moves or secret strategies. It has been abundantly clear the 6 eyes and the Limitless are fully understood by us, the audience, at this point. Whereas Ryomen Sukuna, the strongest sorcerer of the previous era, still has so much we don't know about. It's theorized he has an entirely separate curse technique from what we've even seen. There still has been no solid explanation of what the black box open ability is, whether it was curse copy or Sukuna pulling something from the cursed realm. There's still the subject of all the curse tools Sukuna's been drawn with over the years, and in fact, we know for sure Yorozu gave Sukuna a gift when she passed on. Whether this is an entirely new power-up, weapon, or anything at all, one thing's clear: Sukuna is the one who has been holding back this entire fight. Sukuna pushed Gojo to the brink of death multiple times in the domain expansion clash, and despite Gojo managing to get one over on him eventually, it seems this might have been all according to Sukuna's plan. When unable to best Satoru using Malevolent Shrine, the ability Sukuna is most comfortable using, Sukuna defaults to his second ability down the list, which is adaptation and getting a kill shot through Limitless that way. If Sukuna was a fraud, I think there'd be a little more sweat involved here, huh? Sukuna clearly has plenty more in his arsenal, and Maharaga is just a convenient means to an end. Why reveal your trump cards if you don't have to? And not for nothing, a trump card for Megami does not make a trump card for Sukuna. Maharaga is clearly a tool for his disposal, not a last resort. So when you see Sukuna running away with Rapid Escape or summoning a third Shikigami to jump Gojo with, know it's because this Sukuna is the very same Sukuna we saw up in Shibuya and go up against Megami even further back to the beginning. The king likes to play with his food, and not for nothing, when will he ever be able to use his new 10 Shadows technique to such a crazy degree again? Not a single sorcerer will be able to match Sukuna's strength like this. I personally think if we do see Gojo eliminate Maharaga from the equation, we'll finally see what Sukuna's been hiding all along, and he'll finally beat those fraud allegations. If you made it this far, I hope it's obvious that I'm not biased. I think both characters have been having fun with this fight and letting loose, and with a weekly series, things will always be changing. Gojo's hype one week, then it's Sukuna. The pendulum swings. Thanks for watching to the end. Like the video, subscribe for more content, check out an end screen video, and I'll see you all in the next one. Peace.